Board members, executives, thank you for your immediate attention. We are initiating an urgent, closed-door strategic briefing on GCC enterprise digital infrastructure. We're coming at this from both a strict infrastructure and legal compliance perspective today, because right now, your enterprise has critical exposure to severe financial and legal risks. This requires immediate boardroom action. So, let's get right to it.
Our threat assessment docket today is incredibly aggressive. First, we're going to dismantle the offshore compliance illusion. Then, we'll quantify latency as a direct threat to your P&L, confront the extraterritorial legal mandates you're facing, and outline Sovereign Headless Commerce architecture. Finally, we'll map out the operational tri-node model and issue a mandate for an immediate infrastructure audit. Starting with Section 1, the offshore compliance illusion. We have to ask, is your current data hosting setup just giving you the illusion of compliance? There is a really dangerous, systemic misconception spreading across the GCC right now. It's this belief that simply parking your physical servers in the region equals digital sovereignty. Let me be clear, it does not. If you are routing traffic through centralized US or European centers, or if you're relying on legacy monolithic platforms, you are entirely exposed. You're operating with massive, invisible risk right under your nose. Moving to Section 2, latency as a direct P&L threat. Let's look at the actual infrastructure data. 100 milliseconds. Now, to a consumer just scrolling on their phone, that sounds completely imperceptible, right? But in the architecture of enterprise commerce, this metric is literally lethal. Every 100 milliseconds of additional API delay directly penalizes your operational performance, and legacy monolithic architectures inherently carry this exact delay when they route your data offshore.
And here is the brutal reality of what that 100 millisecond delay actually does. It triggers a proven 7% reduction in your enterprise conversion rate. That is not an IT problem. That is your P&L bleeding out at scale. Offshore monoliths impose a baseline latency of anywhere from 150 to 300 milliseconds. So just do the math. You are operating at a compounding conversion deficit of 10 to 21% per single session.
Let's compare the structural failure of those offshore monoliths against AELION's localized edge rendering. A monolith forces that 150 to 300 millisecond delay. Sovereign architecture, on the other hand, drops your time to first byte to under 30 milliseconds. Furthermore, when monoliths generate invisible 500 timeout errors simply because they cannot serve GCC requests fast enough, AI search engines and LLM crawlers actively deprioritize and unsite your platform. In today's digital economy, if you lose your AI citability, you completely lose your market authority. Which brings us to Section 3, extraterritorial reach and legal mandates. We are shifting now from technical fragility to severe legal gravity.
Right now, you are caught in a massive, high-stakes jurisdictional conflict. On one side, you have the unilateral reach of the U.S. Cloud Act. On the other, the incredibly strict data residency mandates from the UAE and KSA personal data protection laws. Storing GCC customer data on U.S. domiciled infrastructure, even if you have regional servers and contractual assurances, exposes you directly to American extraterritorial law. That is a direct violation of GCC mandates.
And let me emphasize, non-compliance is a massive boardroom liability. Violations of the UAE PDPL carry administrative fines of up to 5 million dirhams. But much more critically, they carry criminal liability for the responsible executive officers. That means the people in this room. The data office holds the absolute power to instantly suspend all of your data processing operations. There is a core doctrine from AELION that perfectly captures this reality. Sovereignty is a key management issue, not a geography question. True digital sovereignty demands absolute operational authority over your encryption keys. If a foreign entity holds those keys and they are subject to foreign laws, you are simply not sovereign. The physical location of a server is completely irrelevant if your operational custody is still sitting offshore.
Section 4, Sovereign Headless Commerce Architecture. This is exactly how we structurally resolve this cross-border data friction.
Sovereign Headless Commerce requires fundamentally decoupling your architecture. We completely separate the front-end presentation layer from the back-end data layer. This allows you to deploy the back-end exclusively within sovereign cloud zones like AWS ME Central 1. What that means is your data, and most importantly, your encryption keys, remain strictly localized under UAE jurisdiction.
But data isolation is really only step one. You have got to enforce rigorous zero-trust API governance right at the network boundary. Every single cross-border API call has to be authenticated. Payloads must be validated at the edge.
There is zero implicit architectural trust here. By relying entirely on server-side tracking, we eliminate silent transit failures. Those are the invisible errors that currently constitute daily, ongoing PDPL violations for standard legacy architectures. To guarantee absolute compliance, this decoupled architecture utilizes hardware security modules, or HSMs, deployed physically inside these regional cloud zones. This is your critical safeguard. It ensures absolute key custody stays within UAE jurisdiction. By securing those keys at the actual hardware level, your foreign legal exposure isn't just mitigated, it is structurally eradicated. It's completely gone.
Moving to Section 5. The operational trinode model. This is about establishing regional dominance.
To engineer true regional dominance across the GCC, you absolutely need parallel geographic deployment. The AELION trinode model accomplishes exactly this. First, London provides your strategic governance, legal frameworks, and technical rigor. Then, Dubai acts as your strategic anchor, managing that executive alignment and ensuring absolute GCC regulatory compliance. Meanwhile, Casablanca operates as your international center of engineering excellence. This delivers elite structural cost efficiency without all the inflated overhead of local execution. These three nodes work together to perfectly insulate your high-capital GCC deployments.
Finally, Section 6. The Sovereign Infrastructure Audit Mandate.
I really need this to resonate with every single executive in this room today. Digital sovereignty is no longer optional. Relying on standard digital design tenders or offshore monolithic SaaS platforms is financially and legally unviable. The enterprise landscape has fundamentally shifted, and you have to shift with it.
We need immediate executive alignment on this. You must initiate a closed-door sovereign infrastructure audit, and you need to do it today. You have to quantify your existing cross-border data friction, accurately map your API vulnerabilities, and expose your exact legal risk profile before enforcement triggers a catastrophic material event for this enterprise. We're going to leave you with one final, highly critical question. Will your current enterprise architecture survive the absolute scrutiny of a UAE data office audit today? Because if your answer to that is anything less than an absolute proven yes, your next steps are very clear.